when I create music, I often think about like what is the goal of this song and like what am I trying to do? Like what am I trying to convey? Like what kind of song is it? What is it for sync, or is it like something that I want to release as an artist? Is it for a different artist? Like what am I writing the song for and how am I producing the song? Because that will dictate how even the length of the song, like which is kind of important too. Like I was just working on a pop version of one of our songs today, or a radio version of one of our songs today, and we cut that arrangement down from like what was like 6-7 minutes down to like 4 minutes. And so because it was for radio, and so we had radio in mind, and with radio you kind of want to get in and out with the song pretty quickly. Just it's just how radio it works. And that's and something like sync, for instance, that'd be another thing that you'd want to like experiment with. So with this song, I kind of like fusing like pop and like electronic music, which obviously you can hear. And so I like the idea of having like something that's lyrically dense, has vocals, has a song structure that's like obtainable and like familiar, while also experimenting with sound design and like music production choice and like my thought process behind that. So that's kind of my goal of this song and why I made this song, because I wanted to experiment with like how can I take like a song that I wrote and turn it into like this like familiar yet experimental kind of sound, this like fusion. And so to start, especially with a pop song, it's all about like how am I hooking the listener, and really I think important. And how you start the song is really important. And
your sound today is doing that weird cutting out thing again.
Ugh, of course it is.
Every now and then when you're saying a word and then it's just like suddenly it's like you're out and then you're back.
Okay. It's probably clipping on my end. Is this? Let me know if it happens again.
I don't even know that's clip. I don't know if it's clipping. It sounds, like when you have a
like a dropout
thing on your vocals,
yeah,
like or like not on a vocal, but on like a plugin or something, that it's then like cutting it out part like randomly. Like that's what it seems like it's doing.
Okay.
Um.
Okay.
Like,
it just happened once, I think.
Okay.
No, it happened multiple times already today. Oh. So
okay.
Yeah.
If it happens again, just or if I need to repeat something, just let me know. We'll try to work through it today, and then I'll have to figure something out. Okay. So anyway, so the intro is kind of what I wanted to like put emphasis on. And so in the intro, I have a lot going on here. So I even have at the start of the song where you can see where it says start. Before I even have an intro, I have something that gets me into the intro. So it's like a pre-intro intro is kind of how I think of it. And what I did was I just resampled something that I made in the intro and like faded in with like some reverb and kind of made it in this like, this swoop almost. So kind of like this reverse reverb effect, and then I'm in. And so I'm playing through just like the verse chords, and it's just a quick 8 bars or a quick bar, just verse. So if you listen again at the intro, something I'm really doing here with sound choice is like I'm manipulating a bunch of different sounds. So I've got a pad going, I've got strings going, I've got this bass going, and then a piano, and I'm kind of manipulating them all. So layering and stacking things in the intro to make it into this like soundscape essentially, where there's like, it feels familiar because you hear some familiar things. Like you can hear the piano tucked away, and then you hear this like plucky bass thing. And then if you look here, one of the cool things that I did with this guy is these are the strings that I have. And if you look here, I'm going to take off the processing. It's just this, like a string ARP. Yeah. That I heavily manipulated, which is free, by the way. I got it from Labs, which Labs has a bunch of free sounds. So you can just like, it's literally just Pizzicato Ensemble from Strings 2, which is just a free Labs preset. Like I'm using Labs here, like some of my pads, the piano is a Labs thing. So like you can take there's a lot you can do with free sounds. And so what I did was I just added a bunch of distortion on these strings. Just a bunch of distortion. And then this like, basically this like sound effect that like degrades the sound. It's called lossy. And essentially it's just like putting the sound through like lossy effects. So like there's phase jitter, there's packet loss, like as if you were playing it through like a phone or something, or like a really low bit rate. And I'm distorting it, manipulating it, making it sound worse, and then adding a bunch of delays. Worse, quote unquote.
Yeah.
The idea to get this like, oh, like what is that kind of thing?
Unrecognizable.
Yeah. Something that like really catches your attention. And then I just layered that with the rest of the instruments. Like I have just this little pluck, piano, bass, and then I'm in for the verse. And I'll have it repeat. So I kind of just repeat things through the verse here, but I'm already adding stuff. So by verse 1, like from the intro to verse 1, I'm already adding and layering stuff. There's something that's happening at each section of the song that I'm adding. And in this case, it's this little guy here. It's real subtle, but it's just another thing I resampled, manipulated, kind of filtered out. Just another like melodic tone that that is like carrying the song along. So like if I just mute the vocals real quick, it's so subtle you're almost not.
You cut out again. What'd you say? It's so subtle. What?
It's so subtle. It's just like a felt thing. And so it's a lot of the layering that I have is not like meant to be heard like, oh, like I'm not hearing this little thing here. It's like a combination of that with all the things that I'm layering. And this pad is another example of that. Like this pad that comes in on verse 1 as well is just this static pad that kind of just plays throughout the verse as well to just add depth. So there is still a difference between the intro and the verse. So kind of just like, okay, here we are. We're in the verse now. And then more stuff. Drums start coming in on the back half of the verse. So I'm already like literally at like each bar section, there's a little bit of something being added, which for this kind of music and for pop music specifically can be really beneficial with how you arrange music, because one as superficial as it sounds, a lot of your listeners, when they first turn on a song for the first time, they need a reason to continue to listen essentially. And there is a sense of like a marketing side of art and how you create music. And so keeping that in the back of your mind of like, okay, how am I going to engage the listener and continue to keep them engaged can be very important when you're working on production, when you're working on songwriting. And so if I go into the verse with the lyrics in, okay, cool, I'm engaged.
That thing.
Now I've got drums in. A little bit of a filtery thing going on with vocals. Now the drums open up even more for the pre-chorus. So if I look at the drums here, the drums that come in on the back half of this verse, they actually aren't the full drums. It's just this filtered thing that's going on. So let me solo the drums here. On the back half here, it's just a loop that I got off Splice. Just like something got off of Splice that I just looped around, filtered a little bit. And then they open up. I have this little filter automation happening. So automation's a big part of like really getting into the weeds of production, is how you manipulate like automation and effects and how you actually like use them to like create all of these cool effects. And filtering is a big way to do that, especially when you transition from section to section. Where is it? Yeah. So it filters up. So just small, and now we're here by the pre-chorus. So sometimes your addition of things don't always come from adding layers or taking things away sound-wise or like production-wise. Sometimes it's filtering effects or changing effects. And this is one of those things with drums where going into the pre-chorus now, it's like, oh, we're in a new section. A way to indicate that is through filtering, opening up the drums a bit, as well as I brought back this little intro or start thing, this little reverse reverby thing. I brought back very subtly, going into the pre-chorus. And then this is where we get into the chorus. So this is very much like the hook of the song. So it's like, okay, verse, pre-chorus, now we're into the hook, into the chorus. And the way I get to the chorus, that's always the fun part. It's like, how are we going to get to the chorus? How are we going to make the chorus stand out? And that's where like your anchor point is for the song, especially with pop music. And so again, similar techniques. I just took a bunch of like swoops, sweeps, like all these right here. These are just subtle effects. Here we go. Subtle effects that just bring attention to and add impact and emphasis when the chorus lands on that first kick drum. So taking little elements of sweeps, transition.
You cut out again.
Yeah. Taking little sweeps and transition effects. Here, let me do this real quick. This should probably help a little bit. Taking little sweeps and transition effects. Really kind of gives emphasis to that chorus. Also, if you look here, a lot of the melodic stuff that I have here, I'm actually cutting out a couple beats before the actual chorus, which again, when you take something away and bring something back, there's contrast there. And contrast really, if you can manipulate contrast, if you can manipulate silence and you can manipulate like sound and like the absence of sound and like having your sounds in place, can really drive a certain feeling. And in this case, I wanted to like suck out and then like land. So, and then it lands. And then it gets big. And then I move into like just more production and more sound design in terms of like what I'm trying to convey. So for this, it's just like a driving bass. And then halfway through chorus 1, I'm adding more things. So if you listen to the drums are very simple in terms of like pattern, because I have a lot of complexity going on with the basses, with the vocals, like a lot of the rhythm. It's like this triplet feel. I have a lot of that going on. And so what I need to do is I need to make sure if my most complex point of the song, I'm going to make sure everything else that I'm putting in there is supporting the most complex thing. And in this case, it's the vocals and the bass. And so the drums are very simple. It's just a simple bunch of drum samples, layers, and then by just adding more halfway through that chorus. Yeah, just very like comparing and contrasting and just bringing in other elements halfway through the chorus is just continuing to drive home this idea of like, all right, I'm going from one section to the next. How can I keep things like engaging, and also like how can I don't know, just add layers and make it sound cool. And then if I go here, it's just like this rhythmic bass thing going. And that's really it. That with drums, and then I'm leaving the vocals, lots of room for the vocals. But like halfway through, I'm adding more elements. So like halfway through, there's this top layer that happens. Which is just a bunch of random MIDI. Like, look at all this random MIDI. It's just like chaos essentially. But I'm making that like sound cool with just like, I don't know, just a bunch of different stuff, like just messing around. And so sometimes manipulating sounds can really like create happy accidents that you're like, oh, this sounded like kind of like bad at first, but like Now it's kind of cool because you just added a bunch of stuff and see what sticks. And so
Bob Ross that stuff.
yeah, lots of just, I call it a bleep bloop.
Bleep bloop.
Yeah, just this like top layer.
Funny.
Yeah, and then we come out of the chorus. And now we're back. Somewhere familiar. We've got drums in. So obviously the melody changes here with verse 2 a little bit, and I that's represented with the vocals. But like, again, looking at the production again, the bass actually doesn't come in until a bar later. So just thin drums again, filtered, bass hits, and now the drums come alive. And then I'll add the same repeating elements. A couple more things in the background. So like, if I go back, if you listen to this here, back half of the verse, this little pulsing synth doing that triplet feel that we had in the chorus. So there's still that recognizable thing where it's like, oh, I'm bringing back something that you've heard before, where it's like, oh, if you listen to that subtly, there's layers and layers and layers. Like all of these layers here, these are all just different instruments that are just doing, either playing the same chord progression, bass line, or sampling something, that all kind of just combine into one like sound. And then go back to the pre-chorus. So here's one thing to note. So I don't have a verse, or sorry, I don't have like a I'll say this. So I have intro, verse, pre-chorus, verse 2, and then I have this breakdown section, which I would consider like my bridge. But my bridge is actually going to be like, instead of going into like a verse 2 into a chorus 2 and then into a bridge and then back to like a third chorus, which is more of a traditional like pop song kind of way you do it, or you wouldn't have a bridge at all and you just go back into the pre-chorus and then go to the chorus. I'm going verse 2 into this breakdown / bridge, and then back to the pre-chorus and then to last chorus. And so that's another kind of element of playing around with song structure, where sometimes like, does it actually make sense for this section to come before, or this section to be done here, instead of like where I would traditionally think to put it. And so part of the reason why I did that was because I wanted to change it up. By verse 2, you're expecting to hear the chorus 2 again, but not in this case. And the way I tease that is by the way this kind of grows into the breakdown. So we'll play it again here. With a melody change in the vocals, this kind of different build thing. And now we're into the bridge. And this bridge acts like a completely different type of feel for the song, because again, it's kind of like giving you a break in a sense from hearing the same things and what you're anticipating. And that's what locks you in as a listener. It's like, oh shoot, like I have not heard this before and I'm not going to hear it again. And so if you want to hear it again, you got to play the song again. So there's like a science to how to like song structure and like making a hit song, quote unquote, or whatever. Not that this is a hit or anything, but like following a similar structure where it's like, I'm introducing a new element before you even know it. It's like what you're anticipating isn't actually what's going to happen. And so
Cut out again.
The breakdown is like a breath of fresh air where I'm introducing either like just it just sounds different. If anything, it kind of lifts up and feels more major E than it does like minor, which is what the key of the song is, in F minor. And so if you listen, the chord progression changes, the drums change. It's a little bit like more uplifting, and then you'll tell by the vocals I have one like climactic point here. So if you listen, so I have this moment where just like everything cuts out and it's just like a vocal and a vocal fill, which is just, again, like even within this bridge and this breakdown, I have something that like is changing that you're building to. And it's like always like something new. Like, what am I going on to next? And it's always keeping the listener engaged in that way. And then by the time we're done with this, where are we going to go? Back to the pre-chorus. But this time, if you listen to the drums, we're at this driving 4 on the floor. Because I'm like, all right, we're going somewhere else. Like, we need to make this final chorus like the biggest part of the song, or just the final chorus is like where we're going. So the pre-chorus needs to get me there. So 4 on the floor, another fill, more driving, more building, and we're back in. And that last chorus there, I have another thing that's a little different with that's different in chorus 2 in this case. That's different from chorus 1, and that is these drums cut out. It's just vocal and cymbal, another build, a drum fill, and then we're back into the groove. And now we're on the outro. And that outro, very similar to the intro. It's pretty much a copy and paste. A little bit of like a drum fill. And then to end the song, I have that little sweep thing. And that's it. That's like the basic structure of it. And so it's very much like designed. The song is designed in a way where each section plays a purpose. It's not just there to be there. And then that keeps the song. I mean, the song is, around 3 minutes. And so it's like, it's not it's 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Like, it's not too long. And it gets to the point. It's in and out, but it still conveys a message, and I'm still able to do everything that I wanted to do with the song. Let's go over vocals real quick, because I have a lot going on with vocals. And then if you guys have any questions, we can go over any questions real quick.
Do you usually use for like, most of those fills and stuff, are there just, you make them, or are you finding them from, most of them from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So it depends. Oftentimes if I'm like this, for instance, this is a fill off Splice from a sample pack. But I do kind of manufacture my own fills too. So like, for instance, where is it? I think that really is the only fill. Yeah. I think it's just that one's a splice loop. I'm pretty sure that's all it is. Yeah, that kind of a build.
Is that an effect that's making it do
yeah. So this little build up that I have was very much like this. I took this essentially this snare roll with just a snare sample that I just made the rhythm to. And then what I did was I bounced it to audio, and I took a shifting plugin, a frequency shifter, and I automated it so it would rise. And as it rises, you get that pitch effect. So if you listen.
Yeah.
It's just this frequency shifter going from 0 hertz to 500 hertz. And that's all it. Just chopping up, repeating it, and having this build. And then what I'm doing is this fill I did build out with the kick and the snare here. So I have these kick samples and this snare sample, where it's just going just this very like just drum fill. And then I'm chopping up some toms from another loop that I found, a drum loop. So that in combination with the kick and the snare. And I have like a hat that hits there. So yeah, so it's a combination of both. It's like, don't feel free to like take any loops that you make from Splice or whatever and chop them up, like change them up to fit your rhythm or fit your song. Like I'm not necessarily trying to like be limited by, well, the loop is doing this, so I have to make it do this. It's like, no, I'm going to chop up that loop to make it fit what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Sweet.
Graham, what does it mean that you bounced it? You bounced it out of this and then
Yeah.
have a different program?
Yes. So what you can do, and you can do this in Logic, you just might have to look up how exactly to do this. For Ableton, for me, what I can do is I can just right click and hit freeze track or bounce track in place. And what that does is that quite literally renders out the audio or renders out that track and bounces it to audio. So it replaces it with an audio file. So if I wanted to like take this drum fill with this kick and snare, but I want to manipulate it further or like do something different, like what I did with this this little where is it? This here. This was audio that I rendered out. So this was probably a MIDI clip at some point with like an instrument on it or something, and like, or maybe it was like something I resampled with like a vocal effect or something that I put into an instrument sampler. And what I did was I just bounced it to audio and then added some more effects because I wanted to manipulate it further. But I didn't want to do it all on the same track. Essentially, it was just more efficient for me to bounce it. And sometimes being limited by what you bounce allows you to be more creative about like, how can I manipulate this further? So taking samples, adding like some cool effects, and then bouncing or committing those effects, rendering those out, and putting them as a new sample, and then editing that now edited sample allows you to kind of like, again, manipulate things further and try things that you normally wouldn't try. Like experimentation is like a big part of production that I think a lot of us overlook because it's like, oh, well, especially with like more electronic stuff or like in the box stuff, is like you don't necessarily aren't limited by like real instruments. You can like take like the strings, for instance, in this intro and tone of them.
And also, yeah, it's the same in Logic. We can't.
Yeah.
You can right click and then click bounce.
Oh, amazing! Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like,
and including for like MIDI too.
Yeah. Like stuff, play around with like bouncing stuff and like chopping up a new rhythm. Like if you had an ARP like this, for instance, but I bounced it to audio and then just chopped it up, I created a new rhythm. It's like that can bring some new inspiration, you know. Okay. Real quick with vocals. So I have a lot going with vocals. Again, I'm a big advocate of vocal layering. And so I have the lead vocal, which is right here. And then I have doubles of the lead vocal, which are here. And then I have all of these different harmonies happening. So if we listen like to the chorus, for instance, these are just vocals. So I've got the lead vocal, doubles, so kind of just gets the vocal wide in your face, the loudest part in the mix, like it's the front and center thing. And by adding doubles,
you recorded all of those over and over again, right? Like,
exactly.
So you did it. So you're just making sure that I'm understanding all those pieces.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ideally, I'm recording them. So like I'm recording my lead, I'm recording my doubles after that. I'm not copying and pasting unless I'm doing a specific effect like a vocoder, which I'll show you in a second. Because
if you do that, it can cancel stuff out.
Correct. Yes, exactly. And so what I do is I just re-record these doubles and pan them left and right. So, and they're real wide. And they're dry. The point being is what that does is that really helps the lead vocal stand out, and it supports it. Tell me, how do I live with this now? You got me so deep and now I'm bleeding. And it also almost gives it this like almost reverby, like it sounds like it's in space, like in a space. Because essentially what a reverb is it's a bunch of delays that are stacked one after another in serial that then creates reflections, which then gives you a sense of space. It tricks your brain and think it's like far away in distance. And so what I've done is I've essentially delayed my vocal because I don't sing perfectly every time. And what that does is that it's given it this sense of space, which is a really cool effect you can do.
And the fact that it's dry versus the other part being
Yeah.
all reverby
Uh-huh.
itself
Uh-huh.
means that, and you said that there's also, besides that, you also have one that's just your vocals flat, like as well
Yeah.
in the middle too, right?
Yes.
That's,
Yeah. So my main lead vocal is always front and center. So this is the mono
yeah.
vocal, just
Mhm.
right here. With just a basic vocal chain, just compression, EQ, kind of the typical stuff that you guys have in your vocal chain. And then I've got a bunch of harmonies that are supporting that. Just like a bunch of layers.
Is that you actually singing the high part too, or did
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah. I
pump
am.
yourself up? I love
It's
that.
just stuff that just and just like literally just a bunch of voices. The idea is that like I'm trying to support the lead vocal. I guarantee you, like, you think that, oh, it's like one strong vocal. How do you get your vocals to sound like this? Like, what's your vocal chain? It's probably a ton of layering. Like, that is the thing that I think people miss is like,
do you,
mm-hmm.
do you have, so you have your main one, obviously, and then you have your two on either side. Did you have another one that's like flat in the middle as well? That's just like really low? Because that was something that was on the Logan stuff was just saying to do that as well. That's just like, I wasn't sure.
I do have, I think.
Oh, you cut out.
So, I have an octave of this low octave of the melody. They're still panned a little.
Yeah.
But they're a little more narrow. And they're supporting the lead vocal that way too. So yeah, you can absolutely do, like, if you want to do another octave or a octave higher or lower, you can do that. I just chose to pan them a little bit because I wanted them really wide. And I just wanted the vocals to just be like a wall, like this. Just like surrounding your head. And then on top of all of that, I have a vocoder, which is just, does Logan go into vocoding at all and like how to do that?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't gotten through all of the vocal ones yet. I just on the lead ones. So it was it was basically there's 4 that he had you do in that, where he had the main one, the main one, and then he had one that was like the main and still down the middle.
Yeah, that
was much like lower down. So that way it would just kind of blend in, but that one had no effects on it. So that way, my understanding is that then that made it so that way that melody would cut through no matter what. Like even if you have like a bunch of effects on the main thing, it's that it would make it so that way that melody is really clear.
Yeah.
And then one on either side.
Cool.
Again, also down mostly, but like still.
Yeah. There's absolutely the principle or the idea is the same. How you do that is kind of up to you, but the idea is that like it's front and center. It's clear. It's you can hear it. This vocoder is just simply for more, just like intense, because it's an intense kind of sounding song. Intense is like a good way to name it. So like a good way to do that is just this kind of like gritty, vocodery, like watery.
That almost makes me think of little bit Imogen Heapy.
Yeah, or like Daft Punk, or like very much
or
like,
Daft Punk. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is all doing the same thing. It's taking a vocoder plugin and you're inserting a synth sound into that vocoder plugin, and that vocoder plugin is on a vocal. And these are duplicate vocals. At this point, I just took the doubles and I copied and pasted them because this is an affected sound.
You're going to change it so much that it doesn't matter.
Exactly. It's now becoming an instrument. And so and also I want it to be tight. I want it to be rhythmically the same. So I do need to have the same exact vocal because I want it to be right in time. I want it to sound like it's a part of the vocal, because when you layer it, it sounds where is the doubles? They sound very much together. And so it's just this layer and layer and layer. And I added all of the vocal effects, like the reverb and delay that I have, which are down here. these are only on the lead vocal, because if I put them all on all of these vocals here, it'd be so washy and so messy. It gets so messy so quick. And so yeah, maybe by themselves the doubles sound pretty dry. Like, what are we doing? But when you have the lead vocal with the effects on it, it's still clear. And so that's part of like a mixing technique. That's more like getting into mixing. But the idea is that like I'm thinking about like, okay, if I want my lead vocal to be the most important part, then I want to make sure that all the things that I want to do to the lead vocal stay front and center. And so if I have BGVs or doubles or harmonies that stick out too much or get in the way and start to mess with the lead vocal, I'm probably need to pull back on whatever I'm doing, whether it be volume, vocal effect, reverb, the delay, vocoder, you name it. Because I still want the lead vocal to stick out. And the way it can stick out is by making it separate with how you process it. And that's where I have the reverb and delays. Yeah, and then like same thing with the breakdown, just more harmonies, like more doubles.
Are you saying you keep it separate, as in like its own bus? You send it to its own bus. Okay.
I have like a lead vocal bus, and then I have a BGV bus, and then I have like even my double bus. Like what you see here, this group, that is essentially my bus. My lead vocal is its own bus, but like new harmonies, like these harmonies here, these are all affected down here with these plugins separately that have their own either reverb or effects or compression or whatever. And so yes, what you're saying is correct. I essentially have my lead vocal only. Nothing else is going to that bus, just my lead vocal. And then like another thing with harmonies and stacks and layers and vocals and stuff is what I'll do is I don't want to get too tiring in terms of like I have all harmonies in all the time. So like what I'm doing is here is I'm only picking certain words with these harmonies. I gave you every single part of me, but you made me your enemy. So those harmonies are just singing just the first.
Like an accent.
Exactly, like an accent.
Cool.
Just like very like in the background, supporting the lead, and just like being ear candy, essentially is what I like to call it. Just little treats.
Your high range is ear candy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just fun.
I love it. Yeah. No, it's fun. Thank you. Yeah. And so like essentially, and then another cool effect here on this breakdown is I'll play it again in context with that moment here. So that part there, what I'm doing is I'm cutting everything out. Like no vocals are happening here. I'm basically any reverb tails that are here, I'm cutting with automation. Like I'm not letting anything ring out. And so essentially if I have the vocal playing with the reverb and stuff, right here, it's just right here. It goes here, grows, and then here. And so the way I wanted to like emphasize this moment of the song, even melodically, like if you listen to all of the melodic information, and I go, here, let me do this group as well. Where is it? This. Everything cuts out except for that top layer because I wanted a little bit of something. I didn't want it to be like completely gone. But with the vocals, what I did was I actually, if you hear, there's like a bass thing that comes in here. This here, where I just took my vocal and I pitched it down with a plugin, and to get this like bassy because it's building. And so it's just this weird, chaotic, like, how can I just add, especially as it builds with these swells here? Like I have these effects, and then they cut, and then they release. So it's like this cut and release. Like even there, I have sweeps going in from that cut. I'm just like trying to get this like, You know, it's like a felt thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like a felt thing. And you would notice it if it's not there. But you're not like hearing it, oh, what's this weird sweep thing in the back? Like, no, you're focused probably on the vocals. And so what I'm doing with the instruments and what I'm manipulating is to support that moment of the song. And so when you add it together, it just cuts out. And so I have all the reverbs cutting out, all the delays cutting out. So it's just this dry of Just a Dream vocal. Just a dream. And then it opens right back up to everything else.
It's like a very K-pop moment right there.
Yeah, yes, very much
like
so.
Cut out for a second.
Absolutely.
And just like,
yes, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then we're back in. And then the same thing with the last chorus, just doubles. But then I'm adding this low layer again to the last chorus. Another thing that's a little bit different than the first chorus. Just this like nasty, gritty, bassy kind of sounding thing with the vocoder. Just like layers on layers. And then, all the harmonies are in at that point, which I don't think they are. No, they're in chorus 1. Yeah, and so just all the vocals come back in for the biggest part of the song. And a little bit of a melody change. And then I have little vocal throws. Like I know you're mentioning a delay cat later. Like right here, just taking like one word, copying it, adding a weird effect on it, pitching it up. Yeah. But like layered, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Same thing over here. Like in the bridge and the breakdown, I have another little thing happening. Vocal chop, which I love vocal chops. I'm all about vocal chops. Just like these like ear candy bits. And then like again in the verse, I know I'm jumping back to the verse, but in the verse, I have this little delay thing here.
That's one I like.
Yes. So what I'm doing is instead of like having a delay, instead of having a delay on my vocal, which I do have on the lead vocal, what I'm doing is I'm just taking this, I'm copying it to here. This is where I want it to play back, making a manual delay, quote unquote, and then affecting this differently. So it's this radio-y, like phasey effect. Which has its own delay, by the way, right here on the channel, a little quarter note delay. That's just like kind of this like washy thing. Because I have space there, so why not use it? You know what I mean? Especially with, again, this genre is trying to keep the attention. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's too much. This song probably is too much for a lot of people, and I get that. But what I like about this song and what I hopefully you guys are learning here or whatever is like I'm throwing
cut out for a second.
What I'm trying to show is like I'm throwing everything at the wall here and like hopefully making it work. Like hopefully it works. Obviously everyone's got their own opinion, but the idea is like it's to show you an example of like all of the things you could do to your tracks. Obviously maybe not to the same scale, and based on the song you're making, there's some things that you can glean. Like maybe you have like the track that you're working on, Danielle, that I've heard a couple times now. Maybe having a little radio vocal throw in here of just like a copy and paste, maybe that could be cool. Like maybe like, oh, I want to try that or whatever. Or like the vocals stacks that we were talking about, like all the harmonies, like trying a bunch of different like sounds and like layers and such. Like just trying things like that is kind of what I'm getting at, is like, don't be afraid to like think outside the box when it comes to your sound design and choices.
If there's some sort of like underwater sound that
like just random, like why not layer that in verse 2? You know what I mean? Like why not? And so it's like you can just these weird vocal effects that really vocal production is probably like one of the most important things. And so I really spend a lot of time experimenting with, well, what can we do with a vocal here? What can we do with a vocal here? How can I take the vocal that I do have and make it into something that's like interesting again? That's a little thing. I don't even, in the context, I mean, that's that little delay thing that I did again, just because I had space there in verse 2. this part here, I think I sing, just a little ad lib that I was doing. I decided to layer with all those harmonies to make it like more full.
How many vocal tracks do you have?
Let's see.
On here?
Yeah, just like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 20, 25, something like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and they're not all playing at the same spots in the song. Sometimes I just got lazy and didn't want to, whatever, just make another track, duplicate it, whatever. But yeah, usually I'm having at least 10 vocals that are doing parts of some kind. And what I'm doing is oftentimes like, I'm not necessarily trying to pick every single harmony out of the book. It may be a simple 3-part harmony, but I'm doubling and layering those harmonies, either in octaves or just doubling and panning. So like you could have one harmony that turns into 4 different sounds because you have one playing up the octave, down the octave, left and right, all still singing the same harmony. But that's 4 tracks that are making it full. 4 plus another 4 plus another 4. Like you have like 12 harmonies that are only thinking, well, you have 3 harmonies, but 12 tracks that are singing 3 harmonies, along with 3 vocals singing the lead. Like that fills out quick, and like you can always add those, and then what you can do is you can take them away. Like in that element in the breakdown and the bridge, where it's just my lead vocal at that point, it's like I take everything away, and so you can compare and contrast. Like even in verse 1, it's just my vocal because it's the start of the song, and I still want to build somewhere, and so I just have the lead vocal, but I still have a little vocal effect. And then by verse 2, I have doubles that kind of jump in again. So, I feel like I went through most everything. Is there any other questions you guys have? Any other effects? I mean, one thing real quick is like all the effects, like I have a background effects group. So like an effects bus essentially. And all of them, these are just supporting things, atonal, boring stuff that are meant to support the track transitionally. So like, just this little movement thing happening. More sweeps. Yeah. So it's like, it really sounds weird. I was like, what is happening? But when you listen to the parts, it's like, oh, those are like subconscious things that support the track. And so I'm a big advocate for adding stuff like that too. Subtle movements, subtle sweeps and swells and whatnot. Cool. Any questions? Other questions?
I have one quick question that like relates to like where I'm at right now. I'm kind of like going through really slow, but clip gaining.
Yes.
Like gaining, like do you do it on like every single one of your vocals? Like do you intentionally go through it, or do you do it more from like a fullness? Like you just add effects?
For the lead vocal, if I'm getting a final lead vocal, yes, I will clip gain the lead vocal. If you look at this lead vocal here, I mean, that's pretty flat before any compression. So there's not a lot of dynamic range. The most dynamic is this part here, and this is probably just like I don't even know. The V in voice. It's just like, so that's the most dynamic part. The rest of it is pretty smooth. And the way I did that is through clip gain. And that's before all my vocal effects, which can really help with automation and like the mixing stage of things. My BGVs, they're pretty flat too, but they're not near as flat. Like, look, these are not clip gained as much. Like these are way more dynamic, these doubles. Should they be a little bit more flat? Maybe, but I am compressing the heck out of them. So, that's kind of reducing the dynamic range enough to where they sit in the mix pretty well. And a lot of my singing with the BGVs and harmonies, they're pretty flat because I'm controlling my dynamics vocally, like on the way in to the singing. So if I can control the dynamics on the way in as I'm singing, I'll do that. Like especially if it's a lot of like, layering. And then I do compression on each channel or compression. Where I'll just have I'll do bus compression. Where I'll just compress them all together so they all kind of have the same dynamic range. So for you, Danielle, maybe you take your lead vocal, you clip gain your lead vocal every word. You're really meticulous with it, but then your BGVs, like I'm not manually tuning my BGVs. I'll throw auto tune on and then I'll compress them, and it's like that'll be like the quick and dirty way. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be up front. If it's sticking out too much at some points, then maybe go in and clip gain just that section, but don't waste your time making each BGV and harmony perfect. Let that be your lead vocal. Even your doubles don't need to be as intentional as your lead vocal. So as long as
it's a lot of time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's so much time. There's definitely a diminishing return when it comes to like how much nuance and like meticulous things you're doing with your vocals, or any production for that matter. Sometimes you spend too much on it and then you end up hating it anyway. It's like understanding yourself and like, okay, at what point am I like just wasting my time? Do I need to move on, or is this actually like meaningful?
Great. Oh, and you have to like crossfade every single time you do it, right?
Well, so I believe you may have to correct me if I'm wrong in Logic. I know in Pro Tools there's a way where the actual clip has its own gain that you don't have to. You actually can make little automation points like this, and you can actually like bring up the level like this of the actual clip itself. I feel like there's something in Logic, maybe not. There's not in Ableton, and so what I did in Ableton, and this is rendered out. But what I would do in Ableton is I would just take a gain plugin, like a utility where that has gain, and I would automate the gain in certain parts where it's like I would just go through and it's like, oh, like I need to level this out a little. This needs to come up. So I'll just bring it up a little. And so there's ways to do it.
Yeah, there is in Logic on the top of your screen. You'll see the little automation thing, and then it usually is automatically starting with volume.
Yeah, cool.
And then you can adjust it depending on what, like if you're looking for a different kind of automation, that's one of the things that's on your track already.
Yeah.
So there's a drop down under volume, and you can go and choose other things instead if you want.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about, but it was more of like just now when he did it between two. Like you can do that.
Yeah. So like where he clicked on it, and then he's not actually doing it. He's showing a different automation thing or whatever. But like for us, yes. Yeah. And then you'd want to make one in the middle so that way you can go up and down or whatever. And then and it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll look for that. Thanks.
Yeah. So you can really and another thing is like listening in the mix too, when you kind of get further into the mixing module of like as you listen through your song, the lead vocal, the end of the verse, like I kind of like a lot of this, like dynamically, I'm falling off dynamically because it's the end of a phrase. It maybe needs to come up here. Whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like you can definitely spend hours clip gaining. And I would argue for the lead vocal, that's probably pretty important. So,
the other thing that you can do too is if you like cut on either side of the air, like if there's a section that you want just all brought up, you can go into the region thing on the side and just bump it up once you've cut it.
Yeah.
And then if you have it selected on Logic, and then you can merge it again once you've bumped it up, and it will be there.
Yeah.
So if you have like a bigger section, sometimes that feels worth it, depending on like if it's like the whole verse is really quiet for some reason and you want to just bump that verse up, but you don't want to do it with the volume automation thing or something.
I did it here. This S I think was either too loud or too quiet. Yeah, it was too loud. So I actually split it here. So this is just an S at the end of the phrase. And it was too loud. And so what I did was I cut it. There's crossfades. And then I just brought it down 3 dB here. This is the gain, the clip gain, essentially. So this is what it looked like in Logic. And so I did it that way. So it depends on how you want to do it.
Well, then that's how I've been doing it every time I'm cutting.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a different way. So I was like, that.
Yeah, the automation might be easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever you think. Sometimes it's like, it depends on exactly. You can do either. Or a combination of both, which is kind of what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Helpful.
Yeah. Alberto, how do you feel?
I feel I've learned a lot that I did not know about vocals, so this is great.
Good. Cool.
We'll go more into it on Friday.
Absolutely. Yes, we'll dig in deep. Sweet. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for hanging on and working through the technical difficulties. This computer is going to make me like lose my mind. I'm going to freaking throw it away. And I'm going to get a new one as soon as I can. As soon as I can get one, I will. But Great. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I have a new drive, so this should be recorded,
Thank goodness.
and I will get
Yay.
it to
Yay.
Logan so he can get it on, get it uploaded, and it'll be there for you guys to reference back when you need to, or if you're like, oh, what did he say about the thing and the vocal, whatever, hopefully it'll be there for you.
I feel like there's there's random sound effect terminology that I end up like, it goes in one ear and then out the other, which is funny for me. But
I take notes.
Yes. If there's something in depth that I said, or like something that you want to go over again, like if you want to more in depth on how to do the vocoder thing that we talked about, or even this video effect that's like phasey, like just let me know and we can either jump on a call or DM or whatever, and we can work out the nuance of how to do that. I don't know if it would be super effective to do over a group call, only because like that's so detailed and nuanced, and maybe I do that. I don't know, maybe Logan wants me to do something like that, and I can do that, like, okay, here's all about vocal throws or something. I don't know. But the point being is, if there is something that I did talk about terminology that's like, what, or you want to know how to do that effect, but you're not sure how to get there, we can dive into the weeds individually if you want to.
Yeah.
Feel good?
And is vocoder, is that a plugin?
So vocoding is the technique, essentially.
Okay.
How you vocode is up to you. I think Logic has a default vocoding plugin, and Ableton does. It's just called vocoder. Most DAWs will have one. And what it does is you have to sidechain, which means you have to send a signal to another signal. And what that does is it's then listening to that signal. So the vocoder is listening to a certain signal, and then it's processing whatever it's on. So what it looks like is I have my vocal track here, and that vocal track is being affected by the vocoder, but what is triggering the vocoder or sidechaining the vocoder is a synth, and that synth is this up here. It's quite literally just MIDI information playing chords into the vocoder. And that specific MIDI is somewhere. I think it's all the way up here. It is this guy. And it's turned off. It's actually muted because I don't want to hear the synth alone. I want to hear the synth through the vocoder. And so what I'm doing is I'm sending this vocoder I'm sending this synth. I don't want to hear the synth by itself. So I have the synth muted, but I'm sending the synth, internally routing it, sidechaining it to the vocoder plugin. And that vocoder plugin is what's giving it the tone. And then that vocoder plugin is sitting on top of the vocal here. So if you listen to the synth alone, it sounds like this. Actually, you're not even going to be able to hear it because it's frozen. Here we go. Oh, maybe not. I broke it. The point is, it's a synth. It's like a saw synth.
Cool.
Anyway, all that to say, so that's essentially vocoding. And if you want to go in depth, that we can go into that a different time. But cool. Okay.
Great.
Well, thanks again, guys. Thanks for bearing with me again. I will get this over to Logan, and I guess we'll end it here. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome.
I'll talk to you guys soon. Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Have a great night, guys. Bye.
You too.
You too.